We're going to begin this hour with a new documentary that has new information about a secret American military unit, and this is going to change your understanding of the Iran hostage crisis more than 40 years ago. It's called America's Hidden Stories, Birth of Shadow Ops, and it's hosted by our own Catherine Herridge. It debuts tonight on the Smithsonian Channel, which has the same parent company as CBS, by the way. You may remember a first attempt to free the 52 hostages in Iran that ended in failure back in 1980, Operation Eagle Claw. Well, this documentary looks at a highly secretive Army unit called the Field Operations Group, or simply FOG, that was tasked with planning a second rescue attempt. For the first time, we are hearing about the efforts to find the American hostages from former members of that team. Here's a preview.
We wanted to take down the communications in Tehran. Shepherd Square was the key location for the communications. We would go into the top of Shepherd Square on Little Birds, be able to access the building and work our way down to the control center and have control of the radio and television throughout Tehran.
And how important was it to have that sort of command and control of the airwaves?
If you control the airways, you can control the city. So we hope to create enough confusion in order to get the hostages out.
Whether it's psychological operations or basically telling people to stay off the street, to help protect the force.
We practiced. We never had really good success. We always calculate our kill rate at about 25%.
25%? You'd lose 25% of your people if you went in?
No, 25% of our people and 25% of the hostages.
Wow.
In the back of everybody's.
Well, that team never launched that mission, and Iran released the 52 hostages on January 20th, 1981, 444 days after the crisis started. Catherine joins us now. Catherine, you're so good in this documentary. You're exactly the person to tell this story. And it's really the story of the birth of Special Operations, which is a major plank of our international security today. Talk about what happened in 1980 and how it got us to today.
Well, when you think about the failure to rescue the American hostages, this was a humiliation for the U.S. military and for the Carter administration. But the story people don't know is that privately and almost immediately, President Carter authorized planning for this second rescue mission. And they drew the best of the Army Special Forces to execute that mission. And you're going to hear from their own lips the story of how that unfolded 40 years ago.
It was fascinating to me. I like how they said it's a combination of innovation and courage. There's no room for error when you're doing these kind of missions. And I was surprised that they were talking about it now. Why do you think they're talking about it now, all these years later? And do you think it still matters today? It makes me think there's still things going on, Catherine, that we don't know about. Well, give me a wink on that.
Well, what they told
disbanded, but well, I know, okay.
What they told us is that it's possible to tell this story, this brief window between 1979 and 1982, is because so many of the records have been declassified, and this Army unit was only around for a short period of time, but they pioneered this revolutionary playbook that combined intelligence gathering and operational support for a strike force. We go up into the skies, and you can see how they gathered intelligence from shortwave radios, walkie-talkies, and then on the ground, they took that intelligence with other capabilities to locate a target. In this case, it was a kidnapped American general in 1981, and this was out-of-the-box thinking, and it was completely different from what the CIA was doing.
And you end up talking to him. But, when I was watching it, it made me very proud for what they did back then without the technology that they have today. And I thought, if they did that back then, imagine what they're doing today, Catherine Herridge.
Well, that's right. And you think about this chapter, I think it really changes your understanding of the Carter presidency, that despite the humiliation of that failed first rescue mission, that he was willing to authorize a second rescue attempt when the conditions were right. Yes. And you have this elite Army unit around for just a short period of time that had the courage to lay the foundation for capabilities that have only improved over time to give us, I would say, the most elite fighting force in the world. And it's an inspirational story about a group of patriots who came out of Vietnam, who always put the country and the mission first.
Put their lives at risk to do that.
Every time.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful documentary. Catherine, thank you very much for being here. The documentary, again, is America's Hidden Stories, Birth of Shadow Ops, and it premieres tonight at 8 Eastern on the Smithsonian Channel.